Honest and strong men like Tommy Robinson are silenced, are thrown in jail to be murdered by inmates. That is the true character of the EU. President, the future of Europe will be bright after the collapse of the EU. And we are now witnessing the death struggle of this failed project. We see it in the elimination of the freedom of speech, in the demonization of political opponents, in the acceleration with regard to an EU army. We see it in the acceptance of state violence against the people of Catalonia, in the opposition against democratic governments of Poland and Hungary, in the sabotage of Brexit. We see it in the creation of an enemy image of Russia and of the United States of America, a long-standing ally. It are all rearguard actions of a union which already failed. Turning the EU into a Soviet-style empire will not avert its inevitable end, and it's already showing widening cracks. It's a union that consists of irresponsible liberals in the West and of realists in the East, of dictating money suppliers in the North and suppressed receivers in the South. It's a union of happy migrants that profit from our welfare state and miserable citizens who are just good enough to pay the bill but are silenced about their grievances. This union creates more problems than it solves. And we have seen a debt crisis, a migrant crisis, and now a crisis in political freedoms. What started as a project to progress peace through trade has deranged into a suppressive totalitarian instrument of a globalist elite. And the last fundament of this bankrupt union is the unlimited printing of money by the European Central Bank. Imagine the shock when Italy was about to install a Eurosceptic government. And there again, the EU showed its ugly face of dictatorship. It denied the Italian people their rightful government. This union that has sold his soul to investors in the Middle East cannot last and should not last. Turkey is turning into an Islamic society, and Erdogan is overturning the achievements toward a secular state. Journalists, professors, military personnel are being jailed. Christian property is being seized. Genocide is being committed on the Kurdish part of the population. And firmly stand the EU to protect? No, not the values of human life, not the freedom of the secular state and the rule of law. No, it stands firmly to let Turkey become a member of the EU. In the UK, Muslim grooming gangs have abused hundreds of children. They were abused, raped, some even killed. And although the authorities knew about it, they were reluctant to act. And when it finally blew out in the open, they tried to cover it up. In Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, hundreds of young girls are victims of grooming gangs. And where is the protection of our children? Where is the outrage in the EU? It's not there. The EU does not and will not protect our children. Instead, it sacrifices them. The EU elite welcomed these child rapists and still do. Honest and strong men like Tommy Robinson are silenced, are thrown in jail to be murdered by inmates. That is the true character of the EU. The EU has no right to a future. The EU has no future. The future of Europe is to the nation states and its people.